vegetable is just struggling. Oh well, we need the vegetable anyway, so that's a life, I guess.
Well,
But
as long as society is engaged in sinful activities, then all this punishment's going to be there. If we want that to stop, then people have to stop their sinful activities. But unless people are educated in Krishna consciousness, then that won't happen either. So yeah, it's difficult.
The ocean temperatures that warming up, that's where cause of the old rain. Either 1 or 2 degrees warm of the ocean temperature because of the global warming, and that's where the too much rain. Europe as well, flooding and all that.
I think it's global sinful activities more than global warming.
Sinful activities that do a global warming. When the amount
because
of
all these things are just external immediate cause. The immediate cause is, you could say, the higher temperature in the water or whatever. But the remote cause, the actual cause, is the human beings are engaged in sinful activities. And then Mother Nature arranges these kind of punishments there. Adidaivat klesha.
But the thing is, all suffering, whether demons and devotees, because suffering is like everyone. It's not only suffering for the demons, like a devotees of farm, or a bhakti tree. We can't get the vegetable, expensive. So consequences is for everyone.
Definitely. Yeah.
The thing here, but that's the life, I guess. That one of the, what do you say? The Elijah. Elijah.
Yes.
He was asking me yesterday, what do you think about the Ritik, that philosophy?
And
he sent me some YouTube clip as well. He said, take a look. I don't know. I said, look, you know what? I'm not qualified to say anything. I don't know. All I can say, I'm the son. Krishna is the father. In between the Prabhupada. That's all. That's all I know. Because I'm not qualified to say, what's right, what's wrong. Because I don't know enough. So all I do, just follow. He's the father. I'm the son. And in between, there's a guru. That's it.
Yeah.
But you say, oh, this video say this. I said, I don't know. I'm not qualified enough to say what's right, what's wrong. Yeah, it's quite.
Someone's waiting. Bhakti Mala. Bhakti Mala's waiting to come in. Here she comes. Hey, Bhakti Mala, Hare Krishna.
No voice.
Hey, Bhakti Mala, Hare Krishna.
Your flower looks great. One flower you sent it to Jagannath, right? It looks wonderful. Bhakti Mala, Jagannath is smiling. Bhakti Mala sent some flower to.
Where are you, Gulshan?
I'm in the van. I'm inside the van. So I went there for lunch in Bhakti Tree, and I seen the flower, and Jagannath was smiling. I said, "Who got this flower?" They said, "Bhakti Mala sent it." That's beautiful.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And Jayanti's in Auckland. That's why she's on a separate screen.
Yeah, she's
with her parents.
She's on mute.
Muted.
Yeah.
Jayanti, you're muted.
No wonder you can't hear me. I'm talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Well, because you're good. That's why Prabhuji is so happy, because you're muted.
I know. Yeah,
peaceful, so peaceful. Yeah. Very good. Okay, lovely to get together with you all.
Yeah.
Okay, let's begin by offering respect to Prabhupada. Om Jnanatimandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmalatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born the darkest ignorance, but my spiritual master has kindly opened my eyes with the shining torchlight of transcendental knowledge. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So before we start the topic for today, which is Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge, text number 23. So, but before we start that, just Gulshan brought up a point which I think we should talk about, because it seems
you don't have to. It's okay. You don't
I know.
have
I don't have to do anything, but I think I should talk about it because it's going to come up more and more, and that's the topic of Ritvik. What is Ritvik about? And devotees talk about it. Is it right or is it wrong, or whatever like that. So Ritvik is actually the Sanskrit name for a priest. So there'll be the guru, or whatever. Guru will be, spiritual master will be organizing a sacrifice, a yajna, and the priest that performs all the rituals of the fire sacrifice, the yajna, is known as the Ritvik priest. So, and he's doing that work on behalf of the guru, of the spiritual master. So there's a controversy between different devotees. So there's like a camp of those that are in favor of that all the current spiritual masters are like Ritvik priests. They're like initiating on behalf of Prabhupada. So this Ritvik idea is that all the current spiritual masters, they're initiating disciples on behalf of Prabhupada, so that then all their disciples are actually Prabhupada's disciples. That's the Ritvik philosophy. So they're all Prabhupada's disciples, and these gurus are like Ritvik gurus, and they're just doing the work on behalf of the actual guru, which is Prabhupada. And so going forward, then all the devotees are actually Prabhupada's disciples, according to the Ritvik philosophy, like that. And no one's actually qualified to be a guru except for what happened to Bhaktimala.
I thought she was gone. She probably lost connection. She'll come back, I think. So watch out.
I hope so, because I didn't want it to get half the story.
Yeah.
And
apparently, I don't know where she wasn't well, Brett. That I went to Bali for lunch today, and the girl was telling that Brett went to see her, and she sent the flower for Jagannath. So
that's
because
nice.
she's not well, but I don't know where is she. Is she at home, or is she? The girl in the Bhakti tree told me that Bhakti Mala is in hospital.
That's correct. Yeah, she is.
So I don't know if she's in the hospital. She may not get the right connection or something. And
oh, you'd think it would be pretty good there. Anyway, let's see if she reappears. So the other side of the story is that, and it's presented in the Bhagavad Gita, fourth chapter, text 2.
Yeah.
The evam parampara praptam imam rajarasayo vidu sakalanaha mahata yoganasta prantapa. So parampara. So this knowledge is received in parampara, means the cyclic succession. You know, like Krishna, he's the original guru. Actually, there's only one guru, and that's Krishna. And anyone that's representing the knowledge of Krishna, the words of Krishna, they're regarded as a guru. So we give them the title. But actually, the principle of guru is one. So guru is one, and many persons, but actually the principle of guru is one. It's the same message, whether you hear from this guru or that guru, but it's the same philosophy, because they're just presenting Krishna's words. So, you know, like in our disciplic session, Krishna spoke to Lord Brahma, Brahma spoke to Narada, and Narada spoke to Vyasadeva to Shukadeva Goswami, like that. So that way the knowledge gets passed down, you know, through Gaur Kishore, Das Babaji, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Prabhupada, then his disciples, and then we're the disciples of those disciples. So this is the Vedic system. This is the Vedic system.
Yeah.
So it's not that it sort of stops with a particular person. Like in this case, they're saying it stopped with Prabhupada, and after that, there's no more gurus. But that's not really the Vedic system. So, of course, you can have unlimited Shiksha gurus, means instructing spiritual masters. And of course, the main instructing spiritual master for everyone in ISKCON is Prabhupada. Everyone's reading Prabhupada's books, we're listening to Prabhupada's lectures. And even Prabhupada's disciples, they're repeating Prabhupada's words, so pretty much listening to Prabhupada by hearing his disciples. So definitely, he's a Shiksha guru, and you can have unlimited Shiksha gurus. You have one initiating spiritual master, which we call Diksha Guru. So you only have one Diksha Guru that gives you a spiritual name, and you make your vows and everything like that. He takes on your sinful reactions, on behalf of the parampara, the succession, like that, connects you with his succession. So that's the Vedic system, so that Prabhupada is the guru and he has disciples, and then when the disciples are qualified, then they become the next guru. And they don't, generally, the system is that the disciples don't act as a guru and initiate their own disciples until their guru passes away. That's the traditional system. If the guru is
still alive,
as long as the guru is alive, what the disciples are recommended to do is direct all of the people that are attracted to Krishna consciousness through them, direct them all to their guru.
Yeah.
So you direct them all to your guru. And then when your guru is departed, then they could accept disciples like that. So that's the etiquette. That's the etiquette. As long as the guru is living, then you direct everyone that's attracted to getting initiated to your guru. And then when the guru is no longer living, if you're qualified, and there's a whole list of qualifications of what does it mean to be a guru. You have to understand, you have to know the Vedic philosophy, the Vedic knowledge, and everything like that. And you have to be applying it in your own life, practicing it, and you have to be able to explain it to others. So you have to know the philosophy, you have to practice the philosophy, and you have to be able to explain the philosophy. So those are just a few things. And, Acharya means, teaching by example. So we should, whatever we teach, we should be practicing it ourselves by our own example. Otherwise, it's not going to have any real Shakti, any real potency. If I tell you, stop smoking, but I'm smoking, you're probably not going to take me very seriously. Like that, it's hypocrisy, right? Hypocrisy. And this is the age, Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So there is a lot of hypocrisy. But that's not a real guru.
Even if I don't know you smoking and you are smoking and you're telling me stop smoking, it's not going to work on me. Even if I don't see you smoking, but it's not going to work because it goes in the honesty. If you're honest, not smoking, that rule will work on me. I'll listen to that. But if you're already smoking and I can't see you smoking, it's still not going to work because it's dishonesty in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So the real power comes when you practice what you preach.
Yeah.
And that's very important. So why has all this Ritvik philosophy come up that no one's a guru except for Prabhupada? Because there's been a lot of, I would say, reasonably, I mean, you probably could say quite a lot of Prabhupada's disciples that are acting as gurus there's been quite a bit of hypocrisy there, and then some of them have fallen down.
Yeah.
Some of them have fallen down, and it's been detected that sometimes they, not doing things correctly and everything like that. They don't really seem to be acting as pure devotees or whatever like that. So what's happened is a lot of devotees have lost faith. They've lost faith in the process of disciplic succession. That a lot of the current disciples of Prabhupada that have become gurus, they've got some shortcomings there. So they've thrown out the system and just created this Ritvik thing that only Prabhupada is the guru and everyone should become his disciple. But that's not really a right way of dealing with it. That's not a right way of dealing with it. The proper thing is that we should become properly qualified if we're going to become a guru. We should be properly qualified. And if you're not properly qualified, well, don't become a guru like that. So, I mean, some examples we could give, like if you took your car to a mechanic and he messed up your car worse, does that mean you throw out all the mechanics? You know, I'm never going to go to a mechanic again. Or if you had a health concern and you went to a doctor and he made your health worse like that, are you going to lose faith in doctors and say there's no real doctors? I'm never going to go to a doctor again. No, you don't. You wouldn't do that, would you? You just realize, well, that's a bad doctor. That's not a good mechanic, not a good doctor. I got to find the proper one. So there are genuine gurus. I disagree if they say that, you know, Prabhupada is the only last genuine guru and there's no other genuine gurus. So you can't throw them all out just because we've experienced, you know, 1, 2, 3, 10, 50, whatever ones that are not good. Then that doesn't mean there's no genuine ones. So we just have to look for a genuine one like that. So, okay, now anyone want to say anything?
After
Lala Gulshan was wanting to say something first, and then Jayanti.
After Prabhupada, did anybody got a title of Prabhupada as the Acharya 50 years time?
No one has been given that title, Prabhupada. No.
Okay, so if somebody,
I think Bhaktimal has come.
Yeah.
If somebody,
let's just find out what happened with her. Hang on.
it's not Bhaktimala.
Bhaktimala. Yes,
Yeah,
she's coming.
I think she might have.
Hey, what happened, Bhaktimala?
I'm having a lot of trouble with the internet.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Okay,
Okay,
anyway, good to have you back, because I felt bad because you dipped out just as we said half the story about Ritvik, and I didn't want you to get only half the story without the other half. So
Oh, that's okay, because we actually did it in my ISKCON disciple course.
okay.
We actually went through it.
Yeah.
I remember from that, but I can go back and have a listen anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, after this is over, you could just listen to the first bit that you missed out if you wanted to. You could listen to the first bit, because I sort of summarized, you know, what might be pages of your course. So I just sort of summarized it. And now Gulshan was going to say something, and then Jayanti was going to say something.
I was saying that a title of Prabhupada. Is that the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave him a title, Prabhupada?
No, his disciples. His disciples.
So after Prabhupada, nobody got this title in 50 years. If somebody will be qualified as an Acharya, like a Prabhupada, who's going to be decided that Prabhupada is not there to decide he's a qualified Acharya, so he'll be next Prabhupada, Abhicharan Das or something. So who's going to be the decider for this title?
No, well, like I said, it's the disciples that give the title to the guru. So any bunch of disciples could come up with any particular title. There's been all kinds of titles: Acharya Pad, Vishnu Pad, you know, all kinds of pads. Yeah, they've stayed away from Prabhupada. But there's nothing saying you can't give that title Prabhupada to anyone that's qualified as a guru. And Prabhu means master and Pad means feet. So, you know, at the feet of the master. So Prabhupada is sitting at the feet of the Supreme Master, Krishna. And there's many masters, Prabhus, you know, all the devotees are called Prabhus, right? So many Prabhus are sitting at Prabhupada's feet, Pada. So Prabhupada has two meanings. So he sits at the feet of the Supreme Master, and many masters, Prabhus, sit at Prabhupada's feet. So, but you know, I mean, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's disciples gave that same title Prabhupada to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So you'll notice, you'll see that title after Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's name, Prabhupada also. Actually, some of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's disciples were very upset when Bhaktivedanta Swami was given the same title as their guru by his disciples. They were very upset. But Prabhupada didn't see there was a problem in that. And he said, well, I haven't given it to myself. It's my disciples are feeling inspired, to give me that title like that. So he accepted that title, even though his own guru had that same title. But he accepted that. If it was wrong, definitely he wouldn't have accepted it. So the only question is the person qualified? That's the thing, to have these titles. And
it's every disciple think their guru is qualified. Like I think Radhanath Maharaj should be have a title Prabhupada Radhanath Maharaj. You probably thinking that that your Guru Maharaj should be a Prabhupada title. Every disciple thinking their guru is the topmost. So how do we deciding, like there's 95 gurus giving?
Yeah, I mean, just giving a title doesn't make anyone the topmost.
No,
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just the name. It's just a designation, right? Yeah, you're just giving respect. You're giving respect to your authority, to your spiritual master. So like that, it's not the end of the world. I personally don't think a title, even if Prabhupada didn't have the title Prabhupada, does that make him any less or any more than what he was or is? No, I mean, it's just a title, right? I mean, I'm called Abai, but if you called me, Vishnu or whatever, does that going to make any difference to what kind of person I am? Vishnu Das or Krishna Das or whatever. Who cares? It's just the title.
I remember reading the devotees used to call Prabhupada Swamiji, and then they clocked on that might not have been the best title.
Well,
so they
clocked on because Prabhupada told them. Yeah, Prabhupada told them it's a third class title. Prabhupada said it's a third class title. So then they said, well, what's a better title we can call you? If Swamiji's third class, what's the better one? So he mentioned a few. I think he mentioned Vishnupad and Prabhupada and maybe one other one, I can't remember. But definitely Vishnupad was mentioned. And Prabhupada, like that. So he gave them a few options as to what's a first class title, and they chose Prabhupada.
Yeah.
And they didn't even know that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati had the same title at the end of his name. But like Prabhupada said, it doesn't really matter. It's just you're offering respect. So you want to offer respect to your spiritual master. And that's out of love, out of love, you're offering respect like that. But so the only point is, that the whoever's going to act as a guru should be qualified. And it's a very responsible position. So we shouldn't take it lightly to become a guru. And then, if we have any problems, then it can affect, the other devotees like that. So there's been, a crisis in faith in ISKCON because of some gurus having problems. So therefore, some of them have adopted this Ritvik philosophy. But that doesn't really solve anything, adopting the Ritvik philosophy. The real thing is that we need qualified devotees to preach. We need qualified devotees to spread Krishna consciousness. If we all remain weak in Krishna consciousness, and then Krishna consciousness is not going to get propagated and distributed and like that, which is really tragic. So no, we have to become, sincere and serious devotees, and then and act as gurus. Prabhupada, you'd hear some lectures of Prabhupada to blow your mind what Prabhupada's plan was. He said, I want all of my disciples to become gurus. So he definitely wasn't propagating Ritvik philosophy. He said, I want all of my disciples to become gurus and all of you, become gurus, and I want all of you to, each of you, have thousands of your own disciples. Thousands of your own disciples.
Well,
he said there'll be,
10
to say Prabhupada had 10,000 disciples, whatever, not quite even that. But then he said, we want 100,000 gurus, 1,000,000 gurus like that. He had big plans to spread Krishna consciousness over the whole world. Our problem is we're too small-minded like that. And if you say that Prabhupada's the only guru, then you're really minimizing Prabhupada. You mean to say that Prabhupada is such a unempowered devotee. He had no Shakti, no power. He couldn't even make one devotee. He couldn't even make one pure devotee qualified to become a guru. Now Jayanti's bursting to come out with a question. Go ahead.
Not a question, it's just a comment.
Comment.
And I think this whole controversy has come about because of the Malkrishna Goswami's letter, which identifies, he said this is what Prabhupada wanted, and he had identified, Prabhupada having identified those 11 devotees who would be, who would represent Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that letter was to the temple president saying that if there are people who need first or second initiations in your area, then you go to one of these people who's closest to your temple, and they will accept the devotee for Prabhupada. So the letter very clearly states that they are just accepting the disciple into the parampara for Prabhupada. So
I already explained that, though, that system is there as long as the guru is living. Then on behalf, those disciples will initiate on behalf of the living spiritual master.
But then a number of those gurus in that list anyway fell down, and some of the gurus have also not actually shown that they are of good standing. So even though they have not fallen down, so obviously, like you're saying, the faith has kind of been shaken for the devotees, and therefore there are a lot of people thinking Ritvik is probably the better system. I'm not arguing, I'm not for or against, I'm just stating facts here, and I'm saying yes, it's true, Prabhupada was very empowered, so it seems very strange that he cannot empower some good devotees as well. So obviously there are very good devotees, very good disciples of his who are doing what he was trying to he wanted to create devotees all over the world, and that's what they're trying to do very seriously, and also they're selflessly. So they're there, but there are others also who have created such a mess, and therefore this has come up.
So there you have it. Does that make sense, Gulshan?
Yeah, it does. But you mentioned that Prabhupada says that I want 1,000 of my devotees to I want to make 1,000 of my devotees to become a guru, and then make thousands of disciples.
Yeah.
And that's Prabhupada says. But Radhanath Maharaj did not accept my letter. He just has a very few devotees. If he's a Prabhupada disciple, then he should have to follow the Prabhupada's whatever they're saying. And Jayapataka Maharaj did that. But Radhanath Maharaj very limited devotees. Like
and look at Jayapataka Maharaj's health. Look at Jayapataka Maharaj's health is like wrecked. So like I said, it's a big responsibility. You're taking on the sinful reactions. But you're taking on the sinful reactions of all the disciples.
Comes in Prabhupada's shelter, Prabhupada didn't say no. Regardless of Prabhupada says, if my health doesn't matter, anyone come to shelter, I'm going to be giving initiation. He never said no to anyone. If he thinks that way, if I give it left and right and center, everyone devotees, and if they fall down or doing something wrong, I'll be get sinful reaction and I'll be sick and think. Prabhupada never think like that. Did he?
I know, but I mean, also he didn't just accept people whimsically either. You know, they had to be serious about Krishna consciousness for some time.
Even junkies. I'm not even a junkie. Anyway.
No, I mean, that was in the very beginning, but after some time they had to be chanting 16 rounds for at least 6 months and doing service in the temple and everything like that. And the local authorities would tell Prabhupada, yes, this person has been following for 6 months or 1 year, or he hasn't been following, like that. So he had a good system.
Gulshan, we all know what you're doing and everything. Unfortunately, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Not proving any point anyway. Just I was thinking, but anyway, it just come the thought in my mind. I just mentioned that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
All I know that Father is the Krishna. I'm the son. In between, there's the Prabhupada. That's it.
Yeah. So that's also perfectly fine. That's also perfectly fine.
You are there as well, Avicharan Das. You are there too, in between.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I say, I mean, the main thing is the shiksha, the instruction. So that's very important. If you may not have an initiating spiritual master, that's not the end of the world, but you need instructing spiritual masters to give you guidance. Like if we have a question, you've got to be able to ask someone that can give you an answer. Otherwise you're stuck, otherwise how are you going to remove the doubts? We're going to have so many doubts. Like Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita has got so many doubts, and he asked Krishna, and Krishna removed the doubts. You've got to have someone to talk to answer your questions like that. So that's you can't do without shiksha, without instructions. That's the main thing.
The living guru is important in ISKCON.
You need some living person that you can talk to and reveal your doubts to, and you can get, answers to your questions like that. You can't get that from the book. You know what I'm saying? So say, I only listen to Prabhupada, but, I'm sorry, you're going to have some problems, mate, because, that if you deviate then who's going to pull you back on track? If you've got some doubt, you can't ask the book. Although, if you're very sincere, I mean, sometimes I've had it that you just open the book and it just tells you something on that page that you really needed to hear. So, I mean, it is a living scripture, but at the same time, it's good to have a person, that you can go to and say, hey, Prabhu, I'm struggling with this. Do you have any ideas what I should do or something like that?
Like, for example, if I ask you something, you will give it an answer which has come from Bhagavad Gita anyway, but I can't get Bhagavad Gita an answer. I want to see the person who's telling me. If I read the Bhagavad Gita thoroughly, very carefully, everything, then I would not have any question. So even if I do have a question, if I ask you, you will answer through Bhagavad Gita anyway.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Gulshan, have you had contact with Radhanath Swami?
Yeah, in my dreams, in my dreams, I had a dream last week where Radhanath Swami was making a halwa, okay, and close to my van, and then he said that, where is the ghee? And I said, oh, where's the ghee? Ghee ran out. He said, go and get the ghee. And I'm running to Raj's shop. And I said, well, in my van, I have got one bottle, like 1 kilo, but it's like a 1/3 of use. I said, there's a 3/4 there. You start the halwa with it, and I can get some ghee from the Rajas. So I'm running on the push bike to get the ghee. But he says from behind, bring in a 2 kilo. We need that 2 kilo for halwa. I said, okay, you start with this 750 grams in my van. So every day I dream about Radhanath Maharaj, but in the person, no. No corporate, nothing. Nothing, no letter, nothing. I'm just enjoying his company in my dream. That's all.
Nice.
And I'm satisfied.
Krishna has some special plan for you, Gulshan. Don't worry.
It's okay.
And like we read in this verse,
you don't believe, Prabhuji, Guru in your life, it's very, very difficult thing. You may be trying from lives and lives and lives, then you got a Guru in this life. Maybe I started in this life, I probably will get some later on in few lifetime or something. You didn't get in one lifetime. Mataji, you know that. Guru is coming in your life is very, very special. You may be trying lots and lots of lifetime in order to get that, and you got it now. So I just started. Maybe next few lives I'll get it. It's okay. Not to worry. Krishna
you've already hit the jackpot, Gulshan, because you're connected with Prabhupada.
That's right.
And he's the Jagat Guru, you know, he's the supreme.
I went to my Guru's Guru. It's okay. That's fine. It's okay.
So yeah, let's just recap on last week's one. So this is 9th chapter, text 22. As I said last week, this is a very famous verse that Prabhupada quoted many times, especially in regards to the last line, Yoga Kshamya Vahamyaham, how that Krishna personally says, Aham, that I carry what my devotee lacks and preserve what he has. And Prabhupada mentions in the end of the purport that the yoga refers to the Lord helping the devotee to come back to Godhead. So yoga means to connect, right? So that the Lord is bringing the devotee back to Godhead through that yoga process. And Kshema means protection. And then so the devotee is trying to come back to Godhead, and there is always a risk of falling down. So the Lord is protecting Kshema. The Lord's protecting the devotee from falling down. So two things are going on. The Lord is bringing us back to Godhead. At the same time, the Lord's protecting us from Maya, you know, pulling us down like that. And that reminds me, one time in Juhu, Prabhupada was saying that the only reason why you're able to stand in Krishna consciousness is because Lord Chaitanya is pleased that you're chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So yeah, the Lord's protecting us always from Maya, and Lord Chaitanya is protecting the devotees because he's so pleased that they're chanting Hare Krishna and protecting us from falling away. And even if a devotee does fall down, it's not necessarily a very serious thing. It's probably just some temporary purification. And then somehow or other, sooner or later, that devotee will continue in Krishna consciousness. Because like he says in the 2nd chapter text, is it 40? Yeah, 40, I think it is. 2nd chapter text 40.
That's why the Ajamil story was?
The Neha.
Yeah, Neha Bikramana Shosti. Yeah, I mean, Ajamil, you know, he was born a Brahmin family and he fell down into sinful life. But then, what's that?
Somebody help you to lift him up?
Well, he got lifted up by the Lord inspiring him to give the name of his youngest child the name Narayan. Okay. So that was the Lord protecting him by giving him the intelligence, to give that holy name to his son. So every time he was saying, Narayan, Narayan, get me this, Narayan, do that, Narayan, come here. Oh, I love you, Narayan. You know, so he's always calling the name Narayan. So he got purified by always saying the name Narayan. And then finally, when the Yamadutas are going to take him to hell, he called out Narayan, Narayan, meaning his son. But then
fall it down from ISKCON devotees who fall down, then Lord Krishna will lift him up.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen many of them that even though they fell down from their position as a guru, they continued their Krishna consciousness. Okay. And I've met even like one, for example, and he was actually a big guru in New Zealand, in Australia, named
Prabha Vishnu.
No. I was thinking of there was another one I was thinking of, Bhagavad. Bhagavad, he was very active in Europe and that. Yeah. And I would see him regularly around the Los Angeles temple when I was serving my guru there in Los Angeles. I would see him come to the temple and You know, so he's still obviously Krishna conscious and still chanting Hare Krishna and everything, but he doesn't have a position anymore. So that's also the Lord's position. I mean, a mercy that if you have a big position and you become proud of that, and so Krishna doesn't like that you become proud. So what does Krishna do? He takes away your position.
Yeah.
Then your pride obviously is taken away, and you become humble again, and you just continue your Krishna consciousness, you know, in a very humble state of mind, but without any position anymore. So probably they won't get a position back, but that doesn't matter. Who needs a position anyway? I mean, I had a position, as you know, in Australia, you know, for the restaurant position and a farm position. Now I don't have any position, but still Krishna consciousness is there, position or no position. So the position is not the main thing, but Krishna consciousness is the main thing. And Krishna protects that. Krishna protects that Krishna consciousness. So it's said that once someone's become Krishna conscious, it's very hard for them to forget Krishna like that. So that we might go through all different kind of crazy situations in life, and that's part of being in the material world. It's like being in a whirlpool. Prabhupada explained in the material world is like being a whirlpool. So we're being tossed around. Sometime you're on top of the waves, sometime you're drowning in the bottom. And so it's like that. You go up and down like that. But
It's the
you
same
just got to ride the waves.
when you do a japa. Sometimes it's good, sometimes not good.
Correct.
It's like that. You can't be having all the time good japa. No.
Correct.
Sometimes tremendous. You look like you're hitting the sixers in the cricket, and the next day you couldn't even make it one run.
Yeah.
Like that. And I said, what happening? It's just like, I don't know, it's just maybe Maya or Krishna or me or whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're so helpless in the material world, and there's Sattva-gun, Rajagun, Tamagun, you know, the three modes of material nature. Sometime we're in Sattva-gun, mode of goodness, sometime we're in mode of ignorance.
Who
but like that,
control all these gunas? Krishna control these gunas. Krishna control these, or like how do
yes,
you
ultimately, yeah. Yep.
One day you be like a really good, you feel like, yes, it's a very good chanting today. And next day you feel like, why, I'm useless. What is that? How did it's change? Like, is a Krishna has a regulator? You switch it on and off?
No, until we reach a platform called Nishta, which means steady. So until we come to that steady platform, Nishta, then we're the opposite is that when we're not steady, you know, so there's a lack of steadiness there. So, you know, things going on in our own mind, you know, is there. The mind is always changing around moment to moment, day to day. So there's so many different factors there. Association that we have. Like one time, a devotee in Mayapur they was on the roof with Prabhupada. The devotee was looking at Time magazine, and Prabhupada saw what he was doing, and he told that devotee, by seeing the picture of one of those people in Time magazine, you've lost all the pious activities, the results of all your pious activities today.
Really?
Yeah, just by seeing. So we get so affected by even these, we think it's a little thing, that I looked at the picture of one boy and girl embracing each other in the Time magazine, and then you don't think anything of it, but you just lost all your good work you did today.
Half naked girl every day at the beach. It doesn't mean
I know.
every
So I
day
mean,
is
that's what I
useless.
mean. So these little things can disturb our mind and, you know, take us off track a little bit and everything, you know, things we hear, you know, weaken our faith like that. Even if you hear criticism of a devotee, that just, you know, you can lose so much of your auspicious, you know, results of your auspicious activities by doing that. It can disturb your mind also, things like that. So there's so many things that affect us. You know, offenses that we make to the holy name, they affect us. Offenses we make in deity worship, they affect us. You know, so we're so affected by so many things. your physical health, mental health. You know, it affects us. What someone says to you, you know, your partner or friend says, "Oh, you're too fat, you're too lazy," or whatever. Then you get disturbed and whatever. You know, oh, what's that big pimple on your neck? You know, someone's laughing at us or whatever, and we get affected.
Also, you still look young. They can praise you. That also affects you.
That can be affect us in also a negative way. We get proud, isn't it? Oh, boy, you're the most wonderful devotee I've ever seen. And then you get inflated pride and, you know, and then you completely have the worst rounds ever and everything like that. So like that. So actually, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, he who criticizes me is my friend and he who praises me is my enemy. Because if you get criticized, you become humble. And if you get praised, you become proud. So which is better?
Well, you can't. You have to praise all the time to Prabhupada. It doesn't mean we are Prabhupada's enemy.
Say what? I missed that. What did you say?
Always praise Prabhupada. It doesn't mean that we are Prabhupada's enemy.
No. But and he's not going to get proud of it. He's not going to get proud of it either. He's not going to get proud, yeah. But for us, you know, neophyte devotees, if you praise too much a neophyte devotee, then there's a good chance he'll become proud, which is not good. Actually, the mother and father in the Vedic culture is not meant to praise their child between the age of 5 and 15. Not meant to praise them because it makes them develop bad qualities. Not me. It makes them develop bad qualities like that. And I mean, before the age of 5, you're supposed to pour love and affection on them. And after from 16 onwards, you're supposed to treat them as a friend. But between 5 and 15, you're supposed to discipline them, children, discipline them. Of course, with love. And that doesn't mean beating or anything.
Praised me. He was hitting me all the time, my father. He never praised me. 5 or 15, forget about it. Before 5, even after 15. till the last day of the death, he was keep hitting me.
Well, he's not following the Vedic culture. That's something else.
Well, but I love him no matter what.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, whatever it is should be done out of love and you want the best for the person. Like that.
You were always very naughty, so that's why.
Oh no, I got smacked on my wedding day.
Oh.
On my wedding day, my wife was sitting next to me. She did not understand the Hindi. And she said, "What happened?" I said, "You better shut up, otherwise you will get one too." And then it's in New Delhi in India. And then she said, "I better quiet because it's not my country. And if they are bash me to death, what am I gonna do?" So she stayed quiet sitting there. I said, "Dad, I just got married." He said, "Does it look like I care?" Fine. It's okay. But yeah, he's a very disciplined man. And I learned a lot of things from him and I follow that.
Yeah.
But I never hit my daughter. That means I should?
No. Girls are not to be punished like that by physical punishment. No. So there's some advantages. Some advantages of being a girl in Vedic culture.
That's why Jayanti That's why Jayanti very naughty because she hasn't been hit. I know that. Now I know. Okay. That's fine. But I haven't got any son, so I have to rid of my frustration with my daughter. That's it. I don't have any son. I can't wait to have a son I can hit. I can hit my daughter. Yeah.
Well, the hitting didn't work because you still never shut up.
Yeah.
I'm not hitting with my voice.
Yeah. Actually, what we should be hitting, even if you don't have children, you've still got something to hit. Because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, every morning we should beat our mind 100 times with shoes. And every evening 100 times with a broomstick. Means, you know, the mind is crazy, you know, so we have to discipline our mind. You know, like the alarm goes off in the morning and your mind says, "Oh, I'm tired. I just want to sleep more." And you have to beat that. No, you rascal, get up. Get out of bed, you lazy rascal. Like that. So in that way you discipline, beat your mind. So You don't have to beat people outside, but our own mind needs a good beating. Otherwise, we're always just going to become slaves of our crazy mind and never get anywhere. So this verse from last week, very important verse. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So Prabhupada's saying at the beginning of the purport that Krishna consciousness basically is saying here, Krishna consciousness means thinking of Krishna 24 hours a day. And how is that possible to think of Krishna 24 hours a day? Then Prabhupada, he writes out the 9 processes of devotional service. Hearing about Krishna, chanting Krishna, remembering Krishna, worshipping like that. So this is the idea, how we can be Krishna conscious, or how we can think of Krishna always, is by doing these different services. So we're so lucky that we have all these different processes, these 9 different processes, that we can fill up our day with these 9 different processes. I was actually hearing a lecture just recently. Prabhupada was saying we can't imitate Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur could chant Hare Krishna for 24 hours a day, but we're not on that platform. We can't imitate him. We get too fidgety, and if we have to sit in one place for a long time chanting, we can't handle doing that. So we shouldn't imitate that. And so we have so many different services. You can chant for a couple of hours, and then you can do some deity worship, and then you can cook something for Krishna and offer that. And then you can go out and distribute books, and you can go on Harinam, and you can do so many, and you can offer some prayers and do different things like that. You can hear some class, and so we got such a variety of things that we can do to help us think of Krishna all the time. Because if we can become, fully Krishna conscious, this is when we're going to get this special mercy from Krishna, that Krishna is going to bring us back home, back to Godhead, and he's going to protect us from falling down. So this protection is not necessarily going to be there if we're, a bit slack in our Krishna consciousness. And if we're neglecting to follow these processes, then, like if we don't chant our rounds and things like that, then obviously we get more open to Maya, more open to falling down. So we should try to fill up our time as much as possible in these different kinds of devotional service. And then Krishna will be very pleased, and he'll bring us back to Godhead and protect us from leaving his lotus feet. So yeah, there's a lot to say about this verse, but we'll just leave it there for now. But it's a very important verse, and very encouraging verse, that Krishna will personally maintain the devotees, protect the devotees. And also, one last thing came to mind, that if we become fully Krishna conscious, you don't really have to endeavor much for your own maintenance, because Krishna's saying here that he'll provide what you lack. Whatever you need, food and shelter and companionship, whatever you need, then Krishna will provide that. You don't have to endeavor for that. We should endeavor to be more Krishna conscious. And if we do that, then Krishna will take care of our personal needs. Like it said, Prahlad Maharaj, he didn't even make any effort to get food or to sleep somewhere or whatever. Krishna personally would arrange all those things for him. And we saw that with Prabhupada, right? He went to America with 40 rupees, and then 10 years later he had 40 crores. So, and he had houses to live all over the world. He had servants, serving him hand and foot, everywhere. So we can see that, if you do absorb yourself in Krishna consciousness and devote your life to serving him, then he takes care of your personal needs. And of course, you might not have a lot of things, but you'll have what you need, so it's talking about Krishna providing what you need. Krishna might not provide what you want. We might say, well, I wanted $1 million and Krishna didn't give me that. But that's not necessarily what you need. So Krishna might not give you things that are not good for you, but exactly what you need to progress to going back to Godhead, Krishna will provide that, The only thing we need to work on is becoming more Krishna conscious. If there's a difficulty in us progressing back to Godhead and a difficulty in us with, struggling in Maya, that's because, there's a lack in our Krishna consciousness. So the solution is we need to work on that, becoming more Krishna conscious, like Prabhupada's saying here. Being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization. So his only desire is to achieve the association with the Supreme Person of Godhead. Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. So if we're finding some difficulty, it's because, we're probably lacking in this area. We need to do more, more devotional service, and that will, help us. Like he's saying, these activities, like hearing and chanting and so forth, are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization. So that will definitely, if we're having some difficulty, this is what we can try to do, is get more into hearing, about Krishna or from Krishna, more chanting, more remembering like that, and that will help us. Well, I just, Jayanti has a question, but just one last thing comes to mind. I just heard Prabhupada in the morning, a class I was listening. He was talking about Gramya Kata, which means listening to mundane topics. And he was really emphasizing that this is so destructive. Like he said, you reading a newspaper is completely waste of time and just disturbing your mind and everything. And now, of course, we don't have newspapers so much, but we have social media. And I was relating to that, to what Prabhupada was saying, and I was thinking, and I admit it, I look at the world news, I look at some things on social media, I look at some things on Facebook, and I was resolving in my heart that actually I'm spoiling my Krishna consciousness by exposing my consciousness to this Gramya Gita and Prajalpa, this mundane gossip and talk and worldly talks. He said, what is the value of all these talks? It's just all just nonsense and speculation and just disturbing the mind. So it was really impacted me what Prabhupada was saying. And I took it as Prabhupada was trying to help me to progress in Krishna consciousness by getting away from these things. And it's actually mentioned by Rupa Goswami in the 6 things that are unfavorable to bhakti and destroy bhakti. One of them is prajalpa. So prajalpa is another name for like this Gramya Gita. It's just mundane, useless talk, not connected to Krishna. It's just destroys our bhakti. So there's these little things, and like you're saying, why one day is good in chanting, Gulshan was saying one day difficult. These little things, you listen to a bit of Prajalpa, Gramya Gita, and it just messes up your Krishna consciousness, and then you're struggling to start all over again and everything like that. So if we just learn to avoid these pitfalls and just remain resolute in these processes of devotional service. So I was thinking, instead of watching social media, I should just read Prabhupada's books or listen to Prabhupada's lecture. It will be so much more progressive than just disturbing my mind, seeing what's going on with Israel and Palestine or in Russia and Ukraine, or what the New Zealand government is stuffing up things about now, whatever. It's just a waste of time. I can't do anything about any of those things. I can't help Russia. I can't help, Palestine. I can't help New Zealand. All I can do is help myself. And the only way to help myself is by becoming Krishna conscious. Like that, I'm just wasting my time, valuable time otherwise.
I think Prabhupada has said all of that pretty much in his lectures. If we listen carefully, he's already mentioned how the governments are just, crooks anyway. So, and that's what we see in social media also. It's all becoming reality, and it's already given to us by Prabhupada. Yeah, you're right what you're saying there. Totally agree. But
so everyone, please pray for me that I can become resolute in avoiding mundane topics and social media so much. I should just use Facebook for spreading our Krishna Culture Educational Foundation and leave it at that. Yeah, because it's just.
I think even I've got sucked into it. Yeah.
And we wonder why we struggle. We wonder why we're not doing very well, and we don't have to look very much further. It's little things like this, It just makes us up.
The question, it was not a question, but I just wanted to make a comment. You mentioned, earlier about you're thinking, oh, why didn't Krishna give me $1 million or whatever, So the desires, there's so many probably desires, even though we may be thinking we don't have any desires. But actually those subtle desires are always there, even us even recognizing that we have some desires, but and we do things which we do, or we may say something which actually reflects those desires buried within us. And it actually reminded me of this statement in the purport of 5:15, where Prabhupada, in his purport, he's saying, just trying to get it again. Oh, here it is.
5:15.
5:15, yeah. Chapter 5, text 15. So in that,
nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activity avoided being, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which cover their real knowledge.
Yeah. So within that purport, further in the purport, Prabhupada saying desire is a subtle form of conditioning for the living entity. The Lord fulfills his desire as he deserves. So man proposes and God disposes. The individual is not therefore omnipotent in fulfilling his desires. The Lord, however, can fulfill all desires, and the Lord, being neutral to everyone, does not interfere with the desires of the minute independent living entities. However, when one desires Krishna, the Lord takes special care and encourages one to desire in such a way that one can attain to him and be eternally happy. So, so when you read that, you realize that, okay, you might be wanting $1 million, but if the Lord, if Krishna, he doesn't want you to have it because you'll just mess up your life.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks for sharing that, Jayanti. That's very nice. And it's really matching up with what we're talking about. So we all know what we're desiring, right? So many things. But Prabhupada tells us in the purport of this one, text 22, what the only desire is of the pure devotee. It's in the middle of the purport. Which make the devotee perfect in self-realization, so that his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's what we can make as our goal, the desire that we want to achieve, that desire, overwrite all of our many temporary little materialistic desires with this one eternal desire to have the association of Krishna in the spiritual world.
But I guess that's what it means, right? That if when one desires Krishna, like in that
yeah, so it's the same thing. One desires Krishna. Yeah. So that's
only when he desires Krishna, he'll do that. I mean, we, and that's why I'm saying, I think all of us here who are, listening to this, in some way we are desiring Krishna, and that's why we are here in this class,
100%. Yeah.
Otherwise we wouldn't be here. So
problem is I desire Krishna as well as other things. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I should be only Krishna, but Krishna as well as others. So Krishna or his creation, you can't get both. You can have his creation, you can't get Krishna then. If you are Krishna, no creation. Human nature is greedy.
But I mean, it's mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam that whether you're free of material desires or full of material desires or desiring liberation, then everyone should worship Krishna with great force, with great determination. Because the idea is, even if you are full of material desires and you worship Krishna, but Krishna is so powerful, he's so attractive, that gradually all those material desires will disappear.
Yeah.
And the only desire that will be remaining is the desire to have Krishna, to get Krishna. So there's no harm that, we have some material desires are there, but that we just keep pushing on enthusiastically in our Krishna consciousness, knowing that all these petty things that we desire, gradually they'll fall away in due course. They'll disappear in due course. Yeah. Somehow or other, we just have to keep Krishna in our life, and everything, like it's saying here, it was all auspicious, these processes. Like now we're hearing about Krishna from Bhagavad Gita, so that's all auspicious. So it's going to make our lives better the more we, hear Krishna's words and associate with Krishna's devotees and chant his names and so forth. Okay, let's read today's verse, text 23. Ye pyanya devata bhakta.
Ye pyanya devata bhakta.
So this one, you join the yay with the P of the next word. So yape, and then you join the Y onto the anya, and then it'll flow. Ye pyanya devata bhakta.
Ye pyanya devata bhakta.
Ye pyanya devata bhaktya.
Ye pyanya devata bhakta.
Yajante shraddhayanvita.
Yajante shradaya.
Tepi mam eva kunteya.
Tepi kunteya.
Yajantya vidhi purvakam.
Yajantya vidhi purvakam. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. But if they do a wrong way, they get the right place. They say sometimes the wrong train will get you the right place.
It'll just take longer. It'll take longer to reach your destination.
It's okay. Still, you'll get there anyway.
Yeah, but it's means longer in the material world, means more painful in that
But
separation from Krishna.
there's no shortcuts in the life. You have to work hard. Everything.
No, there is shortcuts. That
Really?
shortcut is pure bhakti. Pure bhakti is that's Prabhupada compares bhakti to an elevator, and all these other processes are just like going up the steps. You know, it's a 100-story building. Would you rather go up the elevator, or would you rather take the 100 floors, walk up 100 floors of steps?
If
You know,
my,
that's
if
your
my
choice.
if my doctor says more exercise, I'll take elevator or stairs. If my doctor says you're fit enough. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that. I had a pain in my chest 2 days ago. So I went to the doctor, and then he said that you have to get that ultrasound done. Then they want to see if there's a arteries blocked.
Hmm.
And he said it costs you $188, but there's no refund or anything. I said, okay, because it was quite heavy pain. And then they checked it. He said, no, you're going to live 180 years. Don't worry about it. So I don't know. Should I take elevator or should I go for stairs? He said, no, better go for stairs. Exercise is better. Anyway. For me, you never have a serious class. Honestly. You have
No, it's good. It's good.
You have to kick me out in order to get serious class.
No, that's fine, Gulshan.
When you're not like this, then we worry about you.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking about. If we don't hear you talking, I'm worried as Gulshan's not feeling well. So there's two points here in this verse. What are the 2 points, Bhakti Mala? There's 2 topics.
Maybe not today.
Not today? Okay. Anyone? What's one point?
Even though they're worshipping the demigods or wherever, they're worshipping Krishna only, even though they don't know it.
Yeah. Yep. And what's the other point?
The other point is that they're doing it the wrong way.
They're doing it the wrong way. Yeah. So what does that mean? That if you worship like Indra or the moon god or the sun god or the fire god, you're actually worshipping Krishna. How does that work?
Because they're Krishna's energy anyway.
Correct. Yeah. So you're just worshipping Krishna's energy, which is indirectly worshipping Krishna, but indirectly. You're worshipping Krishna's energy, but it's connected to Krishna. His energy, obviously Krishna's energy is connected to him. So indirectly you're worshipping Krishna. But what Krishna's encouraging, then he's saying you're doing it the wrong way. So he's encouraging us to worship him directly. Instead of worshiping him indirectly through the demigod, should just worship him directly.
Did the demigod get upset about that?
What's that?
Did the demigod get upset and nobody is, worship them?
Well, that was the whole pastime with Indra, right? In Krishna book, Indra got upset because Krishna said, don't worship Indra, told the residents of Vrindavan, don't worship Indra, just worship the Govardhan hill. And the cows, and then Indra got upset like that. So that is possible. But also the demigods are like devotees of God, so they generally they're going to be happy when they see that someone's worshipping God. Like for example, Lord Shiva. If Lord Shiva sees someone worshipping Krishna, is he going to be upset? No, Shiva's very happy that someone's worshipping Krishna. And actually, it's a botheration for a lot of demigods that all these people come to the demigods saying, you know, like I've got someone I know has been saying that, he's been a devotee for longer than me, more than 30 years. And but he hasn't managed to get married. So he's saying that, well, Krishna Krishna hasn't arranged a wife for me, I'm planning to ask Uma. So Uma means Durga, Lord Shiva's wife, because it's mentioned that if you want a good wife, you should worship Shiva's wife, Durga Uma. She has many names.
Is he a
What's
devotee?
that? What's
Is he
that?
that
Yeah,
person?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Like that?
Yeah, so
If he doesn't marry 30 years, he's got something wrong with him. You don't need to
but
need to learn that.
what
What he
what we should consider is that, like I said, if we're not getting something, then maybe it's not good for us. Maybe it's not good for us, or maybe it's just not the right time, or something like that. So a devotee should understand that, if I have a desire and it's not working out, rather than get frustrated with that desire, which is usually what happens. If you want something and you don't get it, you get frustrated, right? That's what normally happens. But the way a devotee should deal with that, not getting what we want, is that Krishna's arranging this to purify me. So I should just become more Krishna conscious, take shelter of Krishna more in this situation. Just deepen my Krishna consciousness, that there's this is the Lord's mercy. A devotee always sees even a apparent setback or apparently negative thing. A devotee always sees it as the Lord's mercy.
in the same thing, when you want something, but did you ask yourself, did you give it 100%? Like if I open a business and it didn't get successful, I said, oh, maybe the Krishna doesn't want me to be rich. They want me to be a devotee. But other point as well, like, did I give it 100%? Did I get enough training? Did I get enough knowledge? Maybe not. And that's why I'm not successful. And then
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, in the Bhagavad Gita, it mentions 5 factors of action. It's mentioned in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. There's 5 factors of action. We can look at that. And one of them is us, as the jiva, the individual soul. I can't remember exactly where it is, but if we stumble through the 18th chapter, it's in the early part, I think, of the 18th chapter. Someone can look for that. So one of them is us, the jiva, our individual endeavor. Here it is. Text 13, 18 chapter 13. But the biggest one is the Krishna factor, is the Supreme Lord. That's the biggest factor for anything to take place. So we're just one of the 5, but here's the main one. Anyone want to read that? 13 and 14.
Arjuna, according to the Vedanta, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of these from me.
Next.
The place of action, the body. The performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. These are the 5 factors of action.
Next one.
Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors.
Next one.
Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are.
So yeah, Krishna's the main factor.
Yeah.
So whether you endeavor a lot or don't endeavor a lot, if Krishna wants it to happen, it'll happen. If he doesn't want it to happen, it won't happen. But yeah, definitely you have to put your endeavor in.
Krishna can see your efforts. Like if you're day and night, you're doing something, like, it's like if you're in the desert area of Sahara Desert and you want to dig a well and you need a water, and then you just day and night, you keep digging. And one day Krishna will see that he needs the water. He's digging that, and Krishna will arrange that well, because he can see your your hard work and things like that. And he say, yes, you deserve it, because
the Krishna also might be thinking, why are you wasting your time in a desert? Get out of the desert.
Like, and without water you can't survive, and then you just keep digging the well. Well, that's the only way to survive in there. I'll get the well, and my camel need to drink the water too, and my camel need a water, I need a water, and then Krishna will say, okay, I'll do that. But if you do like 10 feet, if you do 10 feet and I just go half a kilometer again, then do 10 feet, then go 10 yard again, then you do 10 feet, you keep digging. So it's just like a one dig, and believe in Krishna. Okay.
But like, I mean, we can just see how Krishna carries us around, according to his desire.
Why
like we had a plan to be in Australia, right? We had a plan to be in Australia.
Why this Mataji is laughing?
We had a plan to be in Australia, and look where we are now. We ended up back in New Zealand. So that not even a blade of grass moves without the will of the Lord. So we were endeavoring to, be in Australia, but somehow or other we ended up somewhere else. So Krishna has a plan. We should always see that. So there's a beautiful verse in the 10th canto Bhagavatam. I think it's the 14th chapter. I think it's text 8. Famous verse, Tate nukampam susamiksa mano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam, saying that if a devotee tolerates the reactions of his past misdeeds, and all the while seeking the Lord's compassion, his mercy, expecting and seeking the Lord's mercy and compassion, tolerating the reactions of his past misdeeds, and engaging in service with his body, mind, and words, thus becomes eligible to inheriting the kingdom of God. That becomes his rightful claim, his rightful inheritance. So there's always going to be some tribulations and struggles, but we have to tolerate them. That's the recommendation. We have to tolerate all these difficulties, and all these difficulties are coming, why? As a result of our own past actions. Why are we suffering in the material world? Because we turned away from Krishna. So whose fault's that? It's who turned away? We turned away from Krishna, and now we're suffering the result of that, turning away from Krishna and trying to enjoy separately from Krishna. And it's so many sinful activities we've done in so many lifetimes. So now, there's no one else to blame except for ourselves. So we just have to tolerate that. And we pray for Krishna's mercy to help us through this. We now taking shelter. We turned away from Krishna. Now we turn back to Krishna and say, please help me, get me out of this. And please give me the strength to overcome all these difficulties and obstacles, and just fully engage in devotional service with our body, mind, and words, whatever we have. And thus we can be guaranteed, we can expect that, we can get back home, back to Godhead. And that's the promise in that verse. That's our inheritance. That's our inheritance. Inheritance, what does inheritance mean?
When you get it from your great-grandfathers, from your generations, inherited properties, inherited.
The children get the property of the parents, right? When the parents pass away, then that property gets handed over to the children.
But devotees' children wouldn't get anything anyway. They won't give anything because they got nothing.
We don't know that.
I mean, like, devotee usually doesn't want anything, and then Krishna will give only to survive, and then he can't be inherited to his children.
No, well, we're just talking about the principle of inheritance. You're pretty much guaranteed to get the property of your parents when the parents pass away. There may be some exceptions, but the general rule is you're going to get that you're going to get that property. So this verse is saying that if you tolerate the reactions of your bad karma and you pray for the Lord's mercy, always seek the Lord's mercy, and keep engaged in devotional service, then you're going to inherit the kingdom of God. You're going to go back to Godhead. That's what the verse says, right? So
the verse again.
What this verse I'm talking about, I think it's 10th canto, 14th chapter, text 8. Very important verse. So it's Lord Brahma. These are Lord Brahma's prayers to Krishna. I think it's text 8. Jayanti, do you want to look it up? Can you just confirm it? Tate nukampam susamiksamano. And
trying
but
to
the
look.
thing with it, what's that?
I'm trying to find that verse.
Okay. So the thing with inheritance is you're going to get that inheritance as long as what? What's the only thing that you need to do to get the inheritance
As long
of
as you
your parents' property? What's that?
As long as you connected.
Well, no, you're born from them. You're already connected. So the only thing you need to do is stay alive, right? I mean, if you die, then obviously you're not going to get the inheritance. But as long as you stay alive, you're going to inherit the property of your parents, right? As long as you stay alive. So in order for us to go back to Godhead, what do we need to do? Stay alive in Krishna consciousness. You need to stay alive in Krishna consciousness, and you're going to inherit going back to Godhead. That's what this verse is saying. You need to stay alive in Krishna consciousness, just like the son or daughter. The only thing they have to do is stay alive. And they're going to, when the parents pass away, they're going to get that property, right? They just have to stay alive. You don't have to do anything special, just have to stay alive. So we have to, as devotees, stay alive in Krishna consciousness, and then we can go back to Godhead. We can inherit the kingdom of God. And we should have faith in that. We should be convinced about that. We shouldn't have any doubts about that. And we should be this should make us very enthusiastic in our Krishna consciousness. We just have to, practice Krishna consciousness for a few more years. It's not long. I mean, maximum lifespan in Kali Yuga is said to be 100 years. Good luck if we make it to 100 years.
If lucky.
Right? If we're lucky, you're going to be 70 or 80, like that. And then, so that's not much longer. If I can just stay alive in Krishna consciousness for another maximum 20, 30 years, then that's not long. We just have to stay alive in Krishna consciousness, and then we can go back to Godhead. So we should be enthusiastic about that, like that. And just try to maintain our Krishna consciousness, and then we can go back to Godhead. And but we need to be hearing about the spiritual world, get excited about it. Why are we not excited about going back to Godhead? Because we don't know what back to Godhead is. Then that's the problem. So we don't know much about Krishna. We don't know much about the gopis. We don't know much about the cowherd boys. We don't know much about Vaikuntha. Then we're not going to be excited about going back to Godhead. So we should be, like I said, instead of looking at social media and stuff and the newspaper or whatever, we should be hearing about the spiritual world. We should be hearing about the spiritual world, about Krishna's wonderful pastimes. Prabhupada was so excited about the Krishna book. It's such a brilliant book. Prabhupada said if anyone reads Krishna book, they're going to go back to Godhead. They're going to become a pure devotee. Because it's so exciting to hear Krishna's pastimes, and it attracts our heart. And then we fall in love with Krishna, and then we want to be with Krishna, like this verse, the previous verse was saying, 22, that we want to have Krishna's association. So we need to develop this attraction to going back to Godhead. So how do you develop an attraction to go back to Godhead? We have to hear about the spiritual world. We have to hear about the spiritual world, hear about Krishna's pastimes with his devotees in the spiritual world, develop a taste for going back to Godhead, an attraction for that. Otherwise, we'll always be fluffing around with, oh, I have to worship Shiva and Durga to get a wife or a husband. You know, why are we so attracted for that? But we haven't developed our own attraction for going back to Godhead. That's why we're fluffing around with, oh, I need to worship this demigod for this, and to get good health, and to get a partner, and to get money, and worship Ganesh to get money, and so many things. So why are all these desires there? Because we haven't developed a desire to be with Krishna. And that's because we haven't heard about Krishna. And so that's very important. That's very important. Does anyone want to say anything about that?
Anyway, I found that verse if you wanted to say.
But what was the number correct? That's what I just wanted to confirm for Bhakti Mala to look at it.
Yeah, it was 10:14:8.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so anyone can look at that anytime and check that out.
I think that you know, I can completely agree with what you're saying, but I also think that you know, while we're trying to become Krishna conscious and trying to do all of these devotional activities, that sometimes we want somebody to do them with. Like, it's a quite different in different parts of the world. You know, we're not always surrounded by community or you know, Krishna conscious community and things like that, and we do desire like friendship and association and things like that, but not necessarily just for our own pleasure, but you know, to help us on our path as well.
Definitely.
So and
Definitely.
not that you desire $1 million, but like, oh, I do need a bit of money because I'd like to go to India, you know, to go to, you know what I mean? So I think that it just depends. Like, you can have the same desires, but they can be also to help your Krishna consciousness as opposed to just for your own satisfaction, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Generally, it's said, and we were just talking about it recently somewhere, that I was talking about with my friend, that generally devotees don't, a pure devotee anyway, doesn't ask Krishna for anything. Do you know why?
Because Krishna
Why is it?
Krishna fulfilled that before even asking.
Well, he knows. He knows it's in your heart. So there's no need to ask Krishna for anything because he already knows what you need.
Yeah.
So if he knows what you need and he's not giving it to you, what does that mean?
It's not for us. That's why.
Either it's not what you need. You think it's what you need, but it's not what you need, or because of our past, like I said in this verse 10:14:8, because of our past bad karma, past misdeeds, therefore we're going through some period of like punishment, like that, for a reaction for our past misdeeds, like that. So, and then what if we're going through that period of being punished for our past misdeeds, then what's recommended? Like it's saying in that verse, just tolerate that. You just have to tolerate that. I stuffed up in the past. Now this is happening, you know, as to purify me of what I've done in the past. So I just have to tolerate that. And it will come to an end. It will come to an end. Exactly when it happens or whatever, only Krishna and the higher authorities know that. But the recommendation is to tolerate that. And then it's difficult. So then that's why you need to pray to Krishna to help me get through this difficult period where I don't have what I think I need. I don't have what I think I need. And that's very common in Kali Yuga because See, in a properly functioning Vedic society, which we call Varnashram Dharma, when Varnashram Dharma, which is Vedic culture, where you've got your 4 Varnas and your 4 ashramas, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas, and Sudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Brahmana, when that's all functioning properly, then highly likely everyone is going to have a partner, and everyone is going to have the money they require and everything they require. But welcome to Kali Yuga. Varnashram Dharma's fallen apart. We don't have proper brahmacharis, proper grihastas, sannyasis, proper, brahmanas and kshatriyas and vaishyas and things like that. So it's all in chaos. So yeah, a lot of us are finding we don't have what we need because we don't have proper ashramas anymore, proper varnas anymore. We're just varna sankara, all mixed up people like that. So yeah, it's a bit of chaos. So we have to, it shouldn't be a surprise that we don't have what we need. It is a chaotic situation. I mean, ideally, I should have a lot of, I should be surrounded by association with devotees, but I don't have it. You're saying you don't have we don't have a partner or whatever. But even now, right, my partner's, 5 hours drive away, and just a hand over there. And then I don't have any devotees around me. I just have a dog outside.
Is that your choice or Krishna's choice?
Well, whatever. But we don't have an ideal situation. I mean, where I live is ideal. I mean, I eat mostly food that I grow. So it's very healthy, it's organic, it's fresh air, natural sunlight, ideal, materially in terms of, the food and nice shelter and everything like that. But other things are not ideal, like I don't have much association with devotees, so it means it's not going to be, we can't expect it's going to be perfect because it's Kali Yuga. So, but part of all this, it's not being perfect. What do you think there's a reason for that? What could possibly the reason be from Krishna's point of view that it's arranged that things are not going perfectly for us?
That we become more serious about our Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, we want to get out of the material world because it's not that comfortable. Well, I'm going to try to make a real comfortable place here and grow all my own fruit trees. I've got a food forest, 400 fruit and nut trees, but it's not perfect. It's not fully comfortable because I don't have any devotee association. So if it was completely perfect, I had the food forest and the devotee association, I might get so comfortable that I'm not really interested to go back home, back to Godhead, because this is like back to Godhead. No, but it's not. It's not perfect. So I need to get out of here and go back to Godhead. You know what I'm saying? So it's never going to be completely perfect in the material world. It's either you got really good food, but you got no association. You got association, but you don't have very good food. Or you've got good health, but you don't have a partner. Or you've got a partner, but you have useless health. So there's always something. There's always something going to be there. And that's part of the Krishna's arrangement to give us a push to go back to Godhead, that we call out, Krishna, save us, like we see in Krishna's Leela. If you read Krishna's pastimes, even the devotees are living with Krishna in Vrindavan, but was it peaceful there?
There's always demons.
Every day demons were coming, every day, and disturbing. When the demon, what's his name? When the demon, what was the horse demon? Was
Keshi.
When Keshi, that was one of the final demons that Kamsa sent there before Krishna left to kill Kamsa in Mathura. So when Keshi came in, it said was making such a terrible noise and so huge, so frightening, and that the gopis that were pregnant had miscarriages. Is that a nice thing? Can you imagine how frightened a lady is to have a miscarriage? So I mean, Krishna's own parents were in a prison, right? And every one of their children was killed by Kamsa, like that. So it's just the nature of the material world. We have to understand that. If we don't understand that, it means we're not reading enough. We're not reading enough. We think, why is it not nice? It's not nice because we're in the wrong place. We're in the material world. But the point is we have to get out of the material world. And just being Krishna conscious is not going to make the material world a nice place. But what Krishna consciousness is going to do is help you to get out of the material world.
Mm.
But and we're not in control. So if we were in control, we'd just change the situation, make it better. But if we're not in control, then what's the only solution? You just have to tolerate it. Like now, it's like terrible weather here the last few days, rain and wind. But can I make that go away and make it just a beautiful blue sunny day? No, I can't. So what's the only thing I can really do in terms of the weather? I just have to tolerate it. Things you can make some things make it easier to tolerate, like I put the wood fire on. So I put the wood fire on, so it makes it a little bit more pleasant in here. Like Prabhupada said, if it's raining, you can't stop it raining, but what can you do? You can put up an umbrella. So you can open your umbrella like that. So, you can make some small adjustment, but you can't stop the miseries like that. But you can make some small adjustment. But the real thing we should do is just try to absorb ourselves in Krishna consciousness. And I heard this I'm reading one book. It's a very nice one it's some lectures given by
And see
Gaur,
the full.
Gaur Govinda. He's passed away now, disciple of Prabhupada, Gaur Govinda Swami. And he talks about the point of that no one's satisfied, that someone that's not married wants to be married, and someone that's married doesn't want to be married. And it's called what's the laddu? He gives there's this analogy of a
Upay talks about Dilli ka laddu.
Dilika laddu. There's a saying, one verse about Dilika laddu. Yeah, Jayanti, you know that one?
Delhi ka laddu.
Dilika laddu.
Delhi is in Hindi, but what it means is this is a laddu we get in Delhi. Like that.
Yeah. But it's a saying that one who has eaten the Dilika laddu wishes that he'd never eaten it.
Yeah.
And one that has never eaten Dilika laddu, he wants to eat it. So neither person is happy. You've never eaten it, you want to eat it. And once you've eaten it, you wish you never ate it. Because there's some special thing about that if you've eaten it, that it looks very big and amazing, but when you hold it, it just collapses. It's hollow inside. It's a sweet that's hollow inside. So when you go to bite it, it just all collapses. And you wish you hadn't eaten it. But it's very attractive. If you've never eaten it, it looks very attractive.
It's the same thing they're talking about the marriage as well. The person who's not married, they were thinking the person who married is thinking that I'm not married.
Yeah, so that was his point about this Dalika Laddu, that those who are not married, they want to be married, and those that are married, they wish they had never got married.
Yeah.
So no one's satisfied. So the best thing is just to turn towards Krishna. And Krishna's the only one that can make us fully satisfied. No material situation can.
True.
And but Krishna knows what we're going through, all of our struggles. He feels very much unhappy that we're unhappy in the material world. But the best solution is to turn towards him and somehow or other everything will get adjusted. And Krishna has some plan for us, and but we should just stop all of our plan making. We make so many plans for ourselves, how to make ourselves comfortable and happy in this world, but we end up getting frustrated in all these plans. But we should make a plan to go back to Godhead. You know, who's got that plan? Do we have our plan to go back to Godhead? This is like this saying here, this is the only desire of the pure devotee, to get Krishna's association. So that's the only plan that we won't get frustrated in. We won't get frustrated if we make a plan to go back to Godhead. But if we make a plan to be happy in this world, whatever, then, you know, that's going to just be frustrating for us. So, yeah, these are some points here. And, yeah, we try to become happy through worshipping the demigods also. But Krishna's saying here, that's the wrong way to do it. It's not gonna work out. Anyway, we've gone over time a bit. So does anyone want to say anything?
No, all good.
Thank you.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Lots
Krishna.
about
Hmm?
lots to think about.
Lots to
Yeah.
think about, yeah. I'll just turn this. It's difficult.
How are you going, Mala?